Nope.
All right, welcome on and on to another episode of Aloha Anonymous podcast. Thank you all for tuning in. We're over here at my other shop. The last podcast was done at my print shop. Today is our deli shop, venue shop. But I have my guest today, Samantha DeCorte.
Aloha. Good morning, everybody. Or good afternoon, depending on what time of the day you're watching this.
Did I say correct?
DeCorte, yes. Oh, there.
Yeah.
DeCorte, yes. Not DeCorte. We're Portuguese, not French. So, yes, DeCorte.
Oh, okay. Well, I noticed you're very selective with what podcasts we do or what interviews you do pertaining to your district. Do you live in the area?
I do. We live in Miley area. My husband is originally from Makaha, and they still have their home there, but we're in Miley now.
Oh, so what are you doing? What are you doing right now?
So for employment, that kind of
Yes.
stuff. Okay. So recently I just resigned from a state position 2 months ago. Oh, was it 3 months ago?
State.
No, two months ago. Yep. To full-time campaign. So prior to that, I was in real estate and property management probably for about 23 years.
Wow.
Have I been in that industry? And then I kind of like moved around and found myself at the state.
So you do like to read, actually. Is it a lot of reading?
I mean, I don't know if I want to admit that, but definitely it comes with, I think, the ability to lead and the ability to want to learn and educate yourself. So I don't want to say I like it, but I definitely think it's a big part of leadership.
So 20 years. Any tips you can share for those who are interested in joining the force?
With regards to
Being the real
in real estate?
Yes.
Well, real estate is great. It's definitely one of those markets that
Especially right now.
go up and down, those kinds of
Mhm.
things. But I'm a huge advocate in home ownership, which is why we purchased our home.
Mhm.
And I believe it's something that I can leave to my generations. So not only being in the sales side of it, but also being in the home ownership side of it.
Is that pertaining to willing it to the generations? Is that what that is?
Yeah, I mean, just pretty much having like that land ownership that I can pass down to my children, they can pass down to theirs, or maybe they'll decide, you know what, Mom, I don't even want it. I want to sell it and I want to buy my own property. That's fine too.
Cool. Well, that's a little bit about you. Anything else do you wish to share with everybody?
Just my background and things
Yeah.
like that. Yeah,
Yeah,
well,
anything
I'm
general.
originally born and raised on the Big Island of Hawaii, in a small fishing village called Miloli'i. I'm very grounded and rooted in my culture, in my faith. I was taught at a very young age by my grandfather. He kind of like always kind of him and my grandmother were the ones that took care of me and all my cousins, while my mom and my aunties, they all worked and things like that. So just pretty much we helped him, pack up the boat. We would go down to the water with him and we would play all day. And this was like, it was just so not what happens nowadays, where I think my oldest cousin was probably like 12 and we're there all day by ourselves swimming and that kind of stuff. And then my uncle is throwing nets. So pretty much, we're basically taught at a young age to work hard, not only the fishing part of it, but the hunting part of it. We would go with my grandfather. I mean, the guns were bigger than ourselves and, but just taught very hardworking ethics at that age. Mm-hmm.
I appreciate that. Well, I have a business in Waianae, and I thought I wanted to touch upon this because I think that for most part that we're kind of like being they look past us. I kind of feel homeless in our own place, and every time I see a homeless individual, I kind of help to feel some type of way that a lot of times they're just stuck in the cracks. And I feel that way too. And I have a 5,000 square foot facility here, and I feel like I get stuck in the cracks. I don't want no pity. I just want to be left alone, statewide. If people don't want to come to my place of establishment, and they can always go Subway, I'm okay. Or they go someplace else, I'm okay. It's America. You go where you want. But to force me to shut down is crazy. What are your thoughts about that when it happened?
Yeah, so the 2 year shutdown with regards to the pandemic, I mean, that was tough on everybody, business owners, I
Mm.
mean, families, people couldn't go to work, kids couldn't go to school, there was no interaction socially,
Mhm.
economically, and it really shifted our way of life. And so, with regards to the shutdown, I think we could have done a better job. We were all learning. It was the first time that we ever had a global shutdown like that. And I'm trusting that government has learned from that and they're preparing and implementing a plan on how we can safeguard those restrictions because that was not healthy for any of us on any level, mentally, physically, emotionally. I mean, I have been attending my church for 15 years. I wasn't able to be in fellowship, with my brothers and sisters in Christ. My kids weren't able to be with their friends. And so it was tough. It was difficult. And I'm really trusting and believing that we're learning from that so we know how to handle that if it ever happens again, which I hope not.
What would you have suggested that should have took place?
Yeah, I mean, it's so easy from the outside looking in, right?
Sure.
Because I don't know the inner workings, and there's always like a domino effect to decisions. If there's one thing that I learned early on is decisions have consequences, whether that's good decisions or bad decisions, there's always a consequence to that. So, I mean, it would kind of be, I guess, packaged in a layered solution. In a layered solution because for some of the business owners, I know there was a lot of contention. Well, why do the bigger corporations get to be open and the smaller ones don't? We're selling the same product, right? So there was just a lot of inconsistencies. So I know that a lot of the laws were put, or not even laws, but a lot of the restrictions were put in place based
Were they
out of
statutes?
fear.
Or what were they called? What did they call that?
The emergency
Executive
orders. Yep.
We call it executive orders.
Yep, the executive orders placed by our governor. And so I just don't think that they knew what to do. What I would do, easier said than done, right?
So you have no feeling that it was potentially planned. It was spontaneous and rolling with the punches. Would you say that's what it was going on?
So explain to me a little bit of planned pandemic or a planned shutdown or
yes. It was all planned.
I never really had that thought.
Oh.
I hope not. I hope a global shutdown wasn't planned, but
they were in unison.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
When one down, they all did it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So that I found interesting, and this was going on maybe 2-3 years behind the scene before they decided to kind of, hey, let's take it up a notch or let's protect people. Do you think people should protect people from themselves, or should people have the ability to protect themselves?
Well, I think at the end of the day, we're all adults. We can make our own decisions. That's the beauty about living in a republic, is we have the ability to have these choices.
Mm-hmm.
I love our Constitution. I love how it gives us the freedom to worship, the freedom to speak, and those kinds of things. So, of course, once I start to feel that those rights are being infringed upon, I really start to kind of take a pause and take a bigger outlook.
So I see the republic. Are you able to let me know what's the difference between a democracy and a republic?
Oh,
or what's the difference between that?
I think you probably
in your
got
terms?
me there.
Okay.
Well, I mean, this is what I know about a republic, which
Yeah.
is why I use the term,
Mhm.
is because, it pretty much says, I pledge allegiance to the flag in the United States of America and to the republic
Got it.
for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible. So, I mean, that's just something that I've always kind of had common language about.
What year did you grad?
70. My gosh.
What?
Let me just have a sip of my coffee.
Was that
No.
that must have been a birth, right?
That was my birth
Okay,
year,
there you go.
1979. Graduated 1997, which
So
is why I
97.
get it.
So the reason I asked you, 97, you did the Pledge of Allegiance.
Yes, absolutely. That's what we were born with. That's
Mhm.
how I grew up. And, you hear the sound of the bell in school. You stand up, put your right hand on your heart. And yeah.
I stopped doing Pledge Allegiance, I think was like 9th, 10th grade. Do you think your children, you have kids?
Yes, I have 3 boys.
What's the youngest and oldest?
So my oldest is 24, 22, and 17.
Oh, nice. Almost
Yes.
out.
Yes. So, I mean, they're young men already.
Do they even know the Pledge of Allegiance?
They do. Yeah. I mean, not
Have they
only
done it?
because
Have they done?
no. I mean, in school, you mean?
Yes.
No.
it's kind of hard to for people or young ones to know the Pledge of Allegiance if they've never had to practice consistency in that.
Yeah, yeah. But this is where I believe as a parent,
Mhm.
it's my obligation and it's my responsibility to teach my children, these practices that kind of are the foundation of not just our country, but our lives, our
Mhm.
freedoms, our way of life. So, yeah.
We just had Diamond on the podcast yesterday, and then we was
Yes.
kind of gonna deep in talking about the DOE, the
Okay.
Department of Education,
Okay.
and how it potentially might have should have been the Department of Indoctrination.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
What do you feel about those
sounds
when
like
I said that?
something. Well, I mean, it goes back to my responsibility as a parent.
Mhm.
I definitely believe that education it should stay at that.
Mhm.
It should not be imposed upon, especially when it comes to maybe possibly going beyond border lines where parents are feeling uncomfortable with sending their children to school.
So you're most likely doing this for your children. Is that it is? You're coming from a mother's perspective.
Oh, definitely. You mean running for office?
Yes.
Yeah, running for office is for two things. Number one, it's for improvement of my community,
Mhm.
and definitely to set the foundation for all of our children, for our generations to come.
So your seat is what's your seat again?
So I'm
You're
running
running
for
for?
state senate,
What,
District 22.
what kind of decisions do they make, or how does that work? What do they do?
Yeah.
What is
So
their
this
play?
so the Senate is one. Well, there are 25 senators that
Mhm.
represent the state of Hawaii, and so it's a lot more of a narrow scale than the House of Representatives, where there are 51 in the state.
Mhm.
So as far as the Senate seat, which is a big reason why I decided to run for the Senate seat, is because I know that we have the ability and the power to really help our community when it comes to funding, when it comes to providing infrastructure for our bridges, for our schools.
Which bridges are you speaking about?
Well, for one, mainly Makaha Bridge,
Oh, that
I
okay.
mean, it's probably ready to fall any day now. And so that was long overdue. These issues that we're facing here in the community are not new issues. These are issues that the community has been initiating for years.
Who signs that check to get that done? Who signs the check to fix the Macau Bridge?
Yeah. So we request funding,
Mhm.
right? And then that has to get approved on by the Senate. So it really has to be a majority of the Senate.
Is the majority in there for the West Side? Would you say, or
Yeah, I mean, I think
how much money?
overall,
How much money has been brought here to help improve our ways?
yeah, well, I know that we've had millions of dollars coming to our district. How those funds are allocated and where they're going, I think that there could be a better priority.
Is
Uh,
it public?
oh yeah, it's public knowledge. Yep.
Where do we find it?
Oof, I don't know the exact
Okay.
website, but it is in the budget. But everything is public. The Senate floor hearings are public. These are not behind closed private doors where nobody's able to listen into. You can go ahead and watch the Senate hearings. You can read the budgets. You can read the proposals, which is something that is publicly accessible.
Great. Also, I was going through your website.
Mm-hmm.
It's SamanthaDeCorte.com.
DeCorte.com.
Decorte.
Yeah.
SamanthaDeCorte.com.
Uh-huh.
And then a lot of times you there's a few things we can go over them today. In a few words, housing in 1 minute. What do you plan for housing?
So my solution to housing, because District 22 comprises of the largest Native Hawaiian homestead
Mhm.
in the state of Hawaii, we have the most homesteaders here. So or maybe your viewers might know
Mhm.
that we have 28,000 people on the wait list. So my solution, because
okay.
homesteaders make up the majority here, Native Hawaiians make
Mhm.
up the majority here, is to really help them get into their homes, their Hawaiian homes, those that
So they'd be
qualify,
Hawaiian
the
homes.
waitlisters. Mm-hmm.
Are you interested in lowering the blood count?
Not for the initial beneficiary, but definitely. I'm sorry, yeah, but for those that it's passed down to, I think we definitely need to make adjustments for sure. I mean, there's already 28,000 people on the wait list. To lower the blood quantum definitely does not help. We've got to relieve that 28,000 off the list first.
Is there a possibility where we can just cut more into the valley. And he's here. This is you. Beat it. Here. This is you. Beat it. You cannot sell it. This is you. Beat it.
Yeah,
Is
yeah,
that
yeah.
is that ideal
Um,
or?
that would be what I would call kind of wishful thinking. I think because we think that the solution is so easy. Oh, there's land right there. Go over there.
Okay.
But it's a little bit more complex than that. And doing the studying and research that I have done, it's not like how I said, decision have consequences, right?
Okay.
And so it really does take a collaborative effort to make sure that there is agreement across the board on not just the land, but the money, and then the allocation of getting these beneficiaries off of the list and onto their lands.
Um, if they have the opportunity to write a bill at will, collect as much money as well, shouldn't it be cheaper for them to move operation because they control the cost of what it's supposed to be?
So DHHL just received $600 million by the state in their efforts to provide housing solutions for Hawaiians. So when I say solutions, I don't necessarily mean there's the land, build the house. You have to get a mortgage. Well, a big part of that 28,000 that are on the wait list, they've been waiting so long, they're on fixed income already. They no longer work. They can probably no longer qualify. So we have to provide solutions. Some of the solutions that I'm going to be championing are kupuna housing, maybe possibly a rent to own situation where maybe they're not ready to buy. They have to work on saving money or maybe credit or things like that. We just have to have more than one solution.
You come from the real estate part, yeah? 20 years. What is the statistics or what is the percentage on people actually converting rent to own?
For Hawaiian homelands?
No, just in general, rent to own.
That I don't know. Rent to own is not very popular in the open residential market. It's pretty black and white. Either you're renting or you're buying. A rent to own situation would have to be an agreement made between the landowner and the purchaser.
The landowner would be the money person?
It would be the person who owns the deed. So as example, I own my home. If I wanted to let somebody live there, but they needed to work on their, finances or their credit. It would just really have to be an agreement that was drawn up. Okay, I'll let you rent for this long, and then in 5 years you'll purchase it.
I think a person in the real estate area would be a perfect person to help with housing for sure. I
think so. Like how I said, it's easy from the outside looking in that this is a simple fix, but I think having the background that I have in real estate definitely helps to broaden those abilities.
Also to add, is there have you seen any 600 million is a lot of money?
It is, yes.
I'm not sure if they're getting taxed on it. It's probably no.
I don't know.
It's probably some kind of fancy trust that you can. Is there a deadline to spend that 600 million? Because you need it today.
Yeah. And this is probably a part of
the deadline for everything else. The deadline
that
for everything
I don't
else.
agree with is the fact that there's a 3-year deadline
there
to
is.
spend those funds. Yeah, 600 million. There's a 3-year deadline, which if anybody has worked with DHHL on building a home, 3 years is almost unrealistic because not only do you have to get through the DHHL process, but now you have to get through the permitting process, and that takes a long time too.
So I've also told Diamond in a nutshell. By the time I got my lease was up. So I just got my permits to open, and then COVID came down, and that kind of screwed me.
Oh.
So I'm very angry because how everything turned out. But this is probably my first collapse. Everybody else, throughout the years they had their start over. This is potentially my start over in the making. But I see that. So you think the permit is obsolete?
I think the permitting process, it just takes way too long. And I think everybody will agree with that.
Is union in the way?
I think a lot of things. I think the staff, I think it's understaffed. I think the process takes too long. And
they have the money though.
For permitting?
Yeah, they have the money.
I think it's more of an administrative staff type situation because it's not so much the money for the permitting office, it's the process of the permitting office.
So then they hire more?
They need to hire more. They need to advance their technology.
Or should they be able to have it head to the public sector or the private sector and see how fast they work?
I mean, I'm in favor of private sectors and private organizations.
Mm-hmm.
The good thing about coming from a private, world
Mm-hmm.
before I was a state employee
Mm-hmm.
is things move very quickly. And, if you're not doing your job,
Yeah.
then
Somebody else get the bid.
somebody else
Someone
is
get the
going to take
money.
your place. So that's what I love about, that private sector is there is strong accountability.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I know that that's a slam in the bucket when it comes to housing and running for your seat. One thing I deal with also is homelessness, houseless. I have no problem with them. My thing individually is that they sleep in our area and they leave mess. That's the biggest thing because I got my own problems, got my own things. Now I got to clean up after them. What do you think? Because West Side, I also was watching your video and I kind of helped to feel very, touched, emotional about it. I don't think it's because I never eat yet this morning or is this in my feelings or whatever, but it's interesting because I watched the drone shots. The drone shots, it didn't really touch unless people know what to look for of all the houseless, homeless people are really stuck and there is no way out. And then that's what that's why housing is very important. What I think should be done is this: the 600 million. That number to people is nothing. It means nothing to nobody. But when you put it on paper, 100 million, you can house people for a lifetime, a whole lifetime.
Yeah.
You can solve it tomorrow.
Yeah.
And homeless is such a big thing because I gotta deal with that. Also adds in with the crime.
Mm-hmm.
Housing ties in with the homeless. Homeless ties in with the crime. Crime ties in with recovery, and it's all one big system.
Yeah.
It was designed.
Yeah.
There's no coincidence.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think what I want to ask is, what do you plan to do for help or situate the houseless thing?
Yeah. So I've talked to, let me just say this.
Mhm.
I've prepared for this campaign since March of 2021. So I've been researching these issues, talking to community members, talking to nonprofits, organizations, talking to some elected officials that maybe are in our district, maybe outside of our district.
Any top three? Can you give me some names so that I can kind of formulate
Names for
people you talk to in the community and the groups?
I'm probably going to keep their name private only because I don't know if they want to be shared and those kinds of things, but for the most part, I said all that to say that this is not a decision that I made to run for office one day out of nowhere and my filing papers need to be turned in tomorrow. This is something that was well prayed out, well talked out with my family.
Yes.
And when I made that decision of March of 2021, we are maybe about a little over a month away from election. This is how long it takes to not only talk to the people in the community, but to understand the issues and to formulate possibly what will be the solutions, right? So to your question about our houseless communities.
How do we fix that?
It's
or what is that?
Yes. And there are a couple ways that I, have kind of dialogued with different communities. On the homeless or houseless perspective, it's difficult because the cost of living here is high, right? I mean, I just went to Tamora's and I bought a gallon of milk on sale for $7.99. And so I understand, that the cost of living here, inflation, everything is going up. So the fact that people can't even afford to live, in a home, I get that. So a part of me sympathizes with that kind of almost like they have a choice, but they don't really have a choice. And so what are they left with, right? They pack up, they go in their car, they drive down to the beach, they try to figure out solutions, okay, I got to get another job. I have to get 3 jobs, okay, everybody has to chip in, those kinds of things. And so a couple things, I've talked to some nonprofit organizations that they've been advancing and helping our homeless community for decades. I think that those nonprofits that are really doing great jobs in our homeless community, I think that they're underfunded.
Yeah.
I think if we can provide them more resource sources,
Mhm.
more funding, the ability to get more advanced mental health doctors
Yep.
and nurses to go out and to really help them, because again, it's layered, right? Like how you said, everything is connected.
Yep.
Well, they didn't just end up on the streets. They didn't end up on the beach. Nobody dreams of going, and taking their family and being in this situation.
Yeah.
But so for this, I would definitely want to partner with the nonprofits that are already, they're out there.
I think the problem is the problem for most part, because me with business, when I was in a monopoly shop losing my things, I also was giving. I was giving everything away, helping with the community. I'm like you. I didn't ask for the newspaper wanted to write articles about me, the publication. Like, no, that's not what I'm doing it for. I serve a higher calling. I do it for the energy. I'm not doing it for nobody. I'm not doing it for get looks. However, it's real simple. It really is real simple, because people around us, like the nonprofit people, they're already doing it for free with their own money. The problem is that there's no money. So these people would do it just because, not because they want the money. There's people out there, you give them a lie detector, they do it because they feel it.
Mm-hmm.
They all have their brothers, their sisters, their cousins strung out. They're out there.
Mm-hmm.
And the problem is that with that is that they just need the money. They just need funding. It's this simple, because there's one entity that they just cut the check and be gone. Make it disappear like everybody else. 600 million in 3 years. What's the problem? That would stimulate growth in our community. People would spend. And what use is to them to say where what went? It is never their money. Or was it the people's money?
Yeah. And then on the other side of it, the options that our homeless community has is go into a shelter. Well, as example, shelters have a 90-day, period as to where you can stay there for 90 days. So just like visually get this picture. You're on the beach, you're living with your family, you have your clothes, you have your tent, you have your necessities, those kinds of things. Somebody comes up and says, hey, we want to help you to get you housing, would you, stay in this shelter, this and that. Okay. But when you go to the shelter, you can only take so many necessities. So what does that mean? They have to give away the rest of their things. And then after the 90 days, they have to figure out what their next step is going to be after those 90 days. That's not a lot of time. So if you think these people have been through the system many times, and all they are left with was at the 91 day, they're back at the beach, they're back in their circumstances, and now they don't have a tent, they don't have a mattress, they don't have their necessities. So that cycle is not working.
I think also too, because I walk the beach, and then people of our caliber who's in the workforce, employee or employer, got to follow rules, statutes. What do you think about those signs up there? Because there are blue signs that says you cannot camp, you cannot do nothing like that. Should the signs be taken down?
Yeah, I mean, I think on a city level, I think that would be more of a solution that would need to be dialogued more with our city council member. But I mean, I think that people are in the circumstances they're in, whether there are signs or not. Everybody can clearly see the signs. Everybody can clearly see no camping without permits, but
so it should be taken down then if we're not going to enforce it.
I don't think so. I think it still sets some sort of precedence, some sort of presence. So I definitely think we should still keep it up.
Because I see that the people there, a lot of them is comfortable. They're so good. They're good. They don't need nothing. They're fine. They love their life. There's nothing wrong with it. I want to leave them alone. They want to be left alone. They want to leave their sovereignty. And the sovereignty is cool. You're living off the beach, you're fishing, you're providing your family. And I think that's okay. But I want my West Oahu people who work hard 6-7 days to take their little childs to the beach without worrying about needles in the ground, the sand, seeing naked men, naked women changing clothes on the beach, and enjoy our ocean. The West Side has the sunset, and we can't even enjoy our own sunset. And they say we live in paradise. How beautiful is that paradise if we can't even enjoy our ocean? We work so hard to do it. And I think that's the hard thing. We can't even go to the beach. How much time? And then the hard thing is for me is that I see tourists come with their nice Mustang, their rental. and they're so happy to come to West Side.
Yeah.
And you know, by the Mike's Bakery,
Yep.
they look over because they all park there. They like to
Mhm.
look at the beach and they look at homeless, houseless people, and I know them. A lot of them are my good friends. That's
Mhm.
life, and they don't want to be bothered. They're cool
Mhm.
collecting
Yeah.
cans, and they're good. They want to be left alone.
Yeah.
So I want to honor them by letting alone by designating a place where they can actually go.
Yeah.
But how can the West Side enjoy the beach?
Yeah, so I will say this after talking to many people that are on our beaches,
Yes.
that are in our homeless and houseless communities, that nobody really wants to be without a home. They don't want to be without a house. I can't, I could probably maybe count on one hand of the hundreds of people that I've
Mhm.
spoken to that they're like, no, I want to live here, no responsibilities, leave me alone, don't come back here.
Yes.
And I think maybe I might have caught them at a bad time, but for the most part, they want to be in a home. It's not safe
Mhm.
for their families to be there. It's not just safe conditions. I mean, you've seen the weather that we've been dealing with for the past month
Yeah.
or two, and it's just unsafe.
I've actually expressed the way I feel about every time there's big rain, and then I always think about, shoot, I'm happy I got shelter, but for people who don't have a house, that's just another day.
Yeah. Yeah. It's tough. It's tough. But I do believe that we can collaboratively
Mhm.
find a solution. But it's not just only a state solution. We need to collaborate with the city. We need to collaborate with the federal government. And we definitely need to collaborate with the nonprofit organizations. So I think everybody is trying to find their own solution.
Yeah, nonprofit, all the nonprofits who lucky enough to get their their 401(c)(3), they just need to be funded. They're already there. They
Yeah.
have the credentials. They have the team. They just need money.
Yes, yes. And they need to get the quality care, like how I said, like
Mhm.
we're dealing with a lot of mental health issues, a lot of substance abuse issues. It's not
Yeah.
a simple fix of, okay, here's a home, you can live here, just go and move. We're dealing with a lot of issues. A lot of people have, been suffering from drug addiction, alcoholism, those kinds of things. And it's more than just a roof over their heads.
Yeah, because with all this leading into crime, it all ties into homeless houses. I'm not saying that homeless houses people do crime. I'm just saying that I have my cameras, and the people who defecate and leave their droppings and leave rubbish for my people to clean and break into my place. I've been broken into 4 or 5 times. They all have my report, and that's only the times I reported. Sometimes I didn't want to bother,
Wow.
and that's just me.
Yeah.
And if you look at it, for the past 2 years that we've been through, there's not that much business people.
Mhm.
There's nobody.
Mhm.
Everybody going out. Only
Mhm.
people who still here is those guys who still own their business.
Yeah.
Everybody else is out.
Yeah.
But that's just a small scale because it's so much bigger.
Mhm.
Looking at your website, Samantha DeCorte,
DeCorte, yes.
it's actually what we need. It's actually really, for me, I'm nobody, but it's very well written and thought out. That's why when I looked at it, I was like, shit, this is all the right answers. And it's a lot more simpler to do this because it's just money.
Yeah, I mean, like how I said, I've been preparing for this campaign for a very long time.
Mhm.
So I didn't want to mishandle or mistreat a position in a way that I wasn't willing to do the work,
Mhm.
talk to the people, build the relationships, and those kinds of things. So running for public office, it's a huge responsibility. I mean, it's an honor, but it's a huge responsibility, and you better know what you're doing, because if you throw out these unrealistic solutions, the community is going to hold you to that. And that really is not my style of leadership. I don't, kind of just amp people up emotionally.
Yes.
We have to give people the realistic solutions. And even for my realistic solutions, some of them are simple, but it's going to be a process, right? Everything has to come together. The community has to come together, leadership, and those kinds of things. So yeah.
When you were walking, you actually walked, so you had opportunity to really meet people.
I've door knocked thousands.
That's very
of
humbling.
doors.
It's very humbling.
Very humbling is a perfect word.
Business wise, that's what I do. That's what I've done. I did that 15 years ago, where I actually walked into parking lots, and the idea was simple: where people's at, that's where money's at. And I had one simple product, and that's all I did. Every yes, I get paid. Every no, it's okay. Every no, it means tomorrow. Yes, okay, I'm getting paid. The reason I bring that up is that I understand what it's like to knock on the doors, get rejected. And then I also wanted to bring the idea that when you're rejected, a lot of people wanted to be left alone.
Yes.
They just want to work, go home, and left alone.
Absolutely.
They don't. So I was trying to pose the idea that a lot of people they don't want to they want to be left alone, and a lot of people, they don't pay attention. They don't care already. So it's up to the very minimum people who actually is paying attention to really do something, because everybody else has gave up. People like you wish to fight.
Yeah.
Everybody else wants to be left alone,
Yeah.
or if not, they move.
Yeah. And I think, you just kind of explained it so well, because there are two perspectives here in our district. The people, and across the board, we can all say that we are aware of the issues here. And so I think definitely nobody is ignorant to the, to the problems that we have here. However, exactly how you said, either people have given up or people are still in the fight. But to have that response of, I don't care, leave me alone, and well, I don't take that personally. They're just frustrated. They've given up. So I have to work even that much harder to prove that there's still hope in our system, that we can still thrive and improve regardless of the labels, regardless of the circumstances that are around us. And I'm not just talking about, living an improved and enhanced life just within our hearts. I'm talking about when we drive down the streets. I'm talking about, when we see, our houseless encampments, when we see children on social media getting into fights, when we hear about how parents are disappointed in the public school education. I mean, this is all a sound that's coming from our community, and it's a cry for help. Now, some people communicate that by slamming their door in my face. That's fine. And then some people, when I walk away, and they're so encouraged that I'm running for office, and they literally tell me, I really hope you win. And it's not just a sensational statement, a positive remark. They're hoping that I win because they know that our lives depend on new and strong leadership. Our generation depends on who's going to be making the decisions here in our district. What kind of money comes in, what kind of money doesn't come in, our laws, those kinds of things. So people are really still hopeful, and I'm thankful. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe I just didn't eat breakfast. Maybe that's what it is. I don't know.
Yeah.
Because I guess, or maybe it's just your position you're going for is a lot more important than most.
Well, we're in a critical time. I mean, and to feel some type of way about it, you're really being sensitive to the needs of our community, because the fact is District 22 is completely underserved. I mean, that's just the reality. And not because the people that have been put in position of power don't care about us or nothing like that, but it's just they have different priorities, and I believe that there's every need here is a priority, but some more so than other. So, I mean, anybody that's lived here for more than a year, you can clearly see that District 22 looks different from District 21, from District 19. I mean, you just drive down, the mindset is different. The way of life is different. The culture is different. The attitudes are different. The drivers are different, and it's because we've been secluded in an atmosphere that even trying for us. And I'm so thankful that you've been able to continue to promote your business. But most people would have given up, because it's hard to be a business owner. It's hard to step out in faith and, just really, make that attempt. But the reality is that we are not given enough resources here to thrive, and that's the heartbreaking part. is why does our community look different from other communities? Again, I'm not blaming our elected officials by any means, because I believe that the priorities that they're tackling is maybe what they feel
Yep.
is the
That's
priorities
what I
here.
understand.
However, I have talked to thousands of constituents. I've gone door to door. I've talked to kupuna that are living in homesteads that are in fear that they have nobody to pass the land down to because their children are moving because it's too expensive to live here. I talked to people in Waianae that have 4 pit bull dogs, cameras, everything, because they don't even feel safe on their own property.
Yep.
I mean, my message is formulated by just talking with the community, hearing these issues, and that's how I'm formulating it. So
The other part is that, because you mentioned the pit bulls, you mentioned the cameras.
Yes.
That does nothing.
Nothing.
Because the other thing is, bad people will always do bad things. I have 3 friends that I know for sure by name, that they've been broken into their house and they got hang gunpoint. Unfortunately, they didn't touch any of their kids or their wife, but they tried to get money. They have it all on camera, and then they were just neighbors that just tried to take. And another one, he is not a coolie. He stabbed the guy because he went into his house, and then he did time. I have a hard time finding that justified.
Yeah. Well,
Is that right?
this is why, okay, so I'll say this.
Yeah.
This is why SHOPO, who's the state of Hawaii
Mhm.
police officers
Mhm.
organization, this is why they have endorsed my campaign.
Mhm.
Because if anybody suffers the most from crimes, is our community. Like how you said, it doesn't matter the dogs. I went to a house
Yeah.
that they had dogs, they had cameras, and they had barbed wire.
Wow.
You know, but again, it comes back to our lawmaking system.
Yes.
You know, do criminals feel that the consequences
No, they're not
are
scared.
harsh enough before they
Mhm.
jump that fence, before they break down that door?
Mhm.
Shoot, do I really want to suffer the consequences? And so this is why SHOPO has endorsed my campaign,
Mhm.
because they know at the end of the day, I have to protect my community at all costs.
I have no problem with the police on this side. They do their best and they have a really, really hard job. And when people call, they got to show up or turn in their badge. That's a really hard gig. Because over here, they're strung up. They're not themselves. They're behind the demons. So it's really hard for them to show up, and they got to make the decisions and live with the consequences that they have to. So it's really hard. I have nothing against them. What actually happened here is, had somebody who broke in, and he eventually robbed my neighbor, the green store, and then Pizza Hut. This is doing the stuff.
Gosh.
And then what happened was, after we filed the police report, long story short, they broke that window. They broke this glass. They went through the back vent. They went through my side window. They went through my door. So that's all different times they took and they break in the middle of COVID policies where they were shutting people down, forcing people to close. And then we had no financial help, and we still got to pay rent because the rent guys got to pay their mortgage. The mortgage got to pay their whatever. So what was going on is that what happened with this instance is that this young boy was supposedly told from a member to go do something to rank up. I don't know if you understand that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. So what he did, he came in here, took the money, took the phone. He wasn't smart. He was very young. He put his face on my phone, on my business phone. So we had him ready. They took fingerprints. The next time they came back, it was 8 months later. They said, yes, that's the boy. Do you want to charge it? I was like, well, you do what you got to do because it's out of my hand. I have a business to run, so you do what you got to do. And then a year and a half later, they, oh my God. So in 2 minutes or less, a year and a half later, they said, okay, we got him. Now we can try him. Do you want to press charges? Like, no, just do what you got to do. Because the other guys, they were trying to do things. So like, oh, just do it. Do what you got to do. I got other things to do. But it took a year and a half. The police wasn't the problem. It was the people to prosecute it.
Yeah.
The word was, the boy came again because he didn't know I was looking for him because I didn't put it out there. I know and my people know. He came into my shop, grabbed my bag, grabbed my laptop, and walked. Because he tried to turn his friend in for $500. I put a reward in the front. So he didn't know we was looking for him. He didn't know about my cameras.
Wow.
So he tried to turn his friend in for $500, and the friend was going that way. A pastor came who was working that day, and we pulled the boys back. He sat on there. We called the cops. My sister called the cops. We sat them down. The cops almost let them go because they didn't have proof that they were taking my stuff until I showed them my camera. Already, boom. Then they handcuffed them. I didn't know that was my bag, and that bag had my life, had everything in that bag. So they took everything, and they showed my camera. They was hiding behind the corner of the building. They say, "Hey, come. I know the guy who broke in." We walked all over there for grab him. The boy came all around, grabbed my bag, and he walked out. I didn't know he had my bag until I like, "Hey, that's my bag."
Wow.
That's a real thing. And then the boy, he's doing time now, but he's only doing time for the time that he got caught. What about other things that we don't know now?
Yeah,
that's different. And it's a high. His friend, the cop said, we need to let him go because his rap sheet not long enough. That's the system we live. And those guys, they're not scared because when they go to jail, it's all fun. It's all family. It's all friends.
Yeah.
There's nothing.
Yeah.
There's nothing. And they keep wrapping out charges till they give you the 5-10 years. Then you take it serious.
Yeah.
That's the real crime and poverty. And then when I saw your stuff on your website, they kind of touched upon that. So I was like, well, this is all the things that I would like to see. It sounds nice. Yeah. You know what I mean? So on the flip side, that's a really high bar, super, super high bar.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that if for example, myself, if I'm going after such a big seat,
yes,
then I should be setting the bar high.
Yes.
And I think it's important to highlight the issues that I've been hearing repetitively for the past year and a half. Again, these are all concerns that are community initiated. I didn't jump on Google and, top issues of Waianae, or I'm not going on somebody else's website. Like, I'm hearing it from the people itself, And so
I do have to commend our political leaders right now, though, because it's so much easier to just call them out. And everybody from all this, they can call them out. It's like, I'm looking like, dang, that's really hard because you trying to do what you think is right. You trying to do what you think is right, but they're the one in position of power to do what they feel is right. Because they went for the seat, they got it. But you know what I mean? So I really give it this hard. That has to be a hard gig.
Absolutely. And that's why, I can't judge from the outside looking in. I mean, from the inside looking out, because I don't know. All I know is what I believe the issues are here and what I believe the solutions are as well. So
yeah, I think that's really hard because at the gap is so wide. Those guys who make $200,000 to $400,000 a year, they're all over the West Side. There are people on the West Side. I know more than 20 people who make $200,000 to $400,000 easy. They gross. They're not keeping it, but they're grossing. But they're comfortable. Yeah, because they pay the most tax. And then you get the rest of everybody else who makes 60, 70. There's a lot of union members make 100,000. So good that Shopo people and then unions have the ability to make a lot of high paying money. But it's hard because we're all not financially educated. We're not strategy. So we end up going down.
Yeah. And, that's where I really want to partner with our public school education because, I mean, District 22 has one of the lowest graduating rates for students in public high school.
Your kids went?
No. Well, my youngest, he goes to school in town. But it's down here on the west side. No, we can't afford Punahou.
Okay, just checking.
No,
so St. Louis.
Not. No, he goes to a public school down on that side.
Okay.
But it pretty much comes down to the fact of we are providing solutions. Are we providing realistic solutions for our students? So as example, there's a low rate of students that are graduating, right? So as example, the reality is more times than not, they don't venture off into college, right? And so one of the programs that I'm looking to really advance and initiate is those trade school options. So as example,
that's perfect.
Yes.
I like those.
So as example, right now in high school, we have college prep courses, right? So when you go to college, you're already ahead of the game. Okay, well, what happens if they don't want to go to college? Then what? So a lot of the problems that our community and our youth are facing is that they don't want to go to college. But then again, they don't want to necessarily get a minimum wage job either, because they know that, their family burdens heavy bills and heavy responsibilities. But one thing that I do know about our district as well is we are very hard working community. And the top 3 jobs in our district is construction. We are laborers. We're blue collar workers. We're very proud of that.
Yep.
And I don't say that in any other sense other than wanting to edify that. So we need to implement programs in our school system that that trains our children and our youth to become mechanics, to become heavy machine operators, to become masonry workers, to become carpenters. Because also on the flip side of that reality is the fact that families can't afford their children to go to college. They need them to get jobs and contribute to the bills in the house. And so I think we're extending a reach a little bit too far with not providing this as another option. So when they do graduate, then they can spend some time, at a job or at an employment, but they're also very skilled, and so this way, when they actually end up getting hired, then they're making pretty good money,
I see the Department of Education. I don't think there's anything wrong with them. I think historically they're doing what they feel is right. I understand that I have nieces and nephews right now that when they were in Nanakuli high school, Nanakuli Elementary, they learned the exact same thing all the way in high school. It's a real thing. When I was younger, I don't recall learning anything else different. When I was in Kapolei, we was already 4th grade. We was doing division and multiplication.
Yeah, okay. Fractions, all that kind of stuff.
Nanakuli, they don't get to that.
Yeah.
It's a real thing. I'm actually from Eva, and I grown to feel for the West Oahu because my family is Nanakuli. So I feel for that, and my business has always been here. But what I am trying to there's many things I like to press upon you, because this is a really huge gig, and I really it's a very brave gig.
It is,
because you're also doing Republican.
I'm also running as a Republican.
I don't see the Democrats in the state of Hawaii, for the most part, those who actually have power of influence, want to see any type of Republic Party doing successful things. Do you feel that way, or have you thought about that or felt that?
Well, I mean, I think, and maybe this might be a little bit of, you kind of your process in life also is I've always had to fight for everything. Nothing ever came to me. I was never raised with a silver spoon in my mouth. Nothing was ever given to me. I always had to work that much harder than the next person to just be on just on the playing field,
Yes.
So hard work, perseverance, and, is just the makeup of who I am. It's a makeup of how I was raised. My family is the same way. So I think for sure that running as a Republican, the resistance is not something I'm not used to in life, just in general. However, my decision to run as a Republican really came from Prince Jonah Kuhio, who became a statesman after the overthrow. He went into exile self-imposed exile for a little bit. He came back because he was urged to run for political office, and he did. And he ran as a Republican because he felt that the Republican Party best represented his values, his views, and his culture. And when he won that election, he was elected as a non-voting delegate, which means, yes, you're representatives, but you can't vote on anything. Well, he was able to pass the Hawaiian Homes Commission Act of 1919, and he didn't even have the ability to vote yes or no on that. So, I mean, he set a precedence on how we can get things for our communities, for our culture, for our people, and he couldn't even vote on his own bill. So I think that
why was that?
Uh, I think well, I don't know why he was voted in as a non-voting
How
delegate,
come he
but
couldn't
there
vote on
were,
his own bill?
well, because so it's a designation, non-voting delegate. There are a few of those.
Okay.
It's a common term, and so basically you're allowed in as a representative, but you just can't vote on any of your bills. So it pretty much is a common thing in amongst legislators, as example. So for him to be able to pass and make such a substantial leave such a substantial legacy that we now today are still living in, I mean, no excuses, right?
Me and Diamond actually touched upon that on the last episode, and I actually put videos and pictures up after explaining Kuhil and all that. In extension, they never had. Well, it was always run by foreigners, and for 100-something years, it's run by foreigners. I am convinced that I've been saying it, and it's everything that I say has been spooky because it comes to pass.
Okay.
And then when I hear things, it's interesting because representatives is different from senators. Senator is different from people in the Capitol. People in the Capitol is different from people with special interests, people who's inside want whatever they want, need whatever they need for their corporation and their business. And those guys have money to do influencer thing, pay to play, or they have, here, I'll help you, you help me. It's a real thing. And then what I'm trying to explain is that we're always looking towards government. And it was always run by foreign entity. I would love to see more Hawaiian names. At the end of the day, where I'm at, I'm happy that if you're gonna screw Hawaii, screw your people, at least it's you and not somebody else. That's where I'm at already. You know what I mean?
It's so funny.
That's where we're at already. I've been watching this a very long time.
Yeah.
Because Green's gonna be governor. And if I'm not, if I'm wrong, I'll be happy to be wrong.
Yes.
I feel a little bit ignorant at times. And then I'm like, but people always telling me, people around me, they're like, oh, you're right. And I live for those. Oh, you're right. Where people gotta be like, my grandmother, she's always with me. You're right, and it kills her. Kills her. Like, yeah. I take no energy. I'm just happy about it. It's funny. Oh yeah, grandma. Yeah, you said it.
Yeah. And our grandmas, they're stubborn.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Oh
yeah.
So I told Diamond, I told people previously, is that I don't like to push my ideas around there. I like to ask posing questions and get them to think what I've thought about and see if they come to the same conclusion. If not, understand why they went the other way. But I don't like push nobody's idea. But it's interesting because so I feel that that Green is because we all believe in this election. Yeah, I believe in selecting.
Yes.
I give it up. I take no disrespect to nobody. I'm very happy for people who believe in the system. But at some point in time, you got to look at, they're all selected. They're not elected. And then when we look at selection, it's different. It's different thoughts. Elections, selections. Oh, kids, what you want to eat today? Let's take a vote.
Yeah.
No, we ain't going to eat McDonald's. Y'all eating home. But you just wanted to know where they wanted to eat. Then you choose your people. There's a big thing where my friend Corduroy's, he's in the room he's in the room back there, right there, sitting on that chair. Okay. My friend Corduroy's is always doing funny things for us to look at. And his thing,
we all should have a corduroy, I think, in our lives.
Yeah, Corduroy's, he's pretty cool because he keeps it fun.
Good.
But he always put little things out there to see what it is. Green is gonna be potential to move it forward. And it's interesting because Diamond told me that he's not even from here. That is so sad. We have 1.3, maybe 1.2 people in Hawaii, and not a single Hawaiian, not a single third generation has ability or feel some type of way to run their own place. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Isn't it crazy?
I mean, I do strongly believe that we should have more of our lahui step up into all fields, government, education, law. I mean, we should be everywhere, but the political field is not easy, but neither is any new territory, right? So somebody has to pave the way. And I'm not saying that I'm I'm the only Hawaiian to ever run for office, but
Oh, that would be cool. I like what you said that. What you
yeah.
said about that. That would be pretty cool.
Yes. And so, I think it's important that we have to know that what we're fighting for is, we're not fighting for a political seat.
No.
We're fighting for our culture. We're fighting for our legacy, for our way of life, And when you understand the responsibility of that, then you understand why the fight is so hard, And when you can accept that and still put others before yourself, then you're willing to go through the persecution of what it takes.
Yeah, I see that. I see the me and Diamond was talking to, because you know them, and
yes,
I have more.
I love
other
Diamond.
People. Yeah.
Yes.
Diamond and I were talking about certain people, and then we all know.
Diamond will drop names and everything.
I love that about
his interview is much more juicy than mine. Sorry.
No. I'm like you. I'm like you, but he's so fearless.
He is.
Yeah.
I love him. Yeah.
People, because me and him, we talk a long time about what we need. Mm-hmm. And I like to see what you're talking about and see what he talks about come to play, because that is the answer. Unlike Kuhil, unlike generation today, people can make money from their phones. That could be generational wealth that can solve problems ourselves. Mm-hmm. So that's why I'm doing these little things.
I love it.
My little podcast things, trying to get people and trying to get people, platform, and trying to bring information. Mm-hmm. Not saying I'm right, not saying I'm wrong, and just entertaining people with what I think is preferred.
Yeah. Well, knowledge is power, right? So the more people that have the knowledge, they have the power to choose. Some people just make their choices by default because that's all they know. I mean, I'm up against a 20-year incumbent. That's not an easy campaign. And I don't take that lightly by any means whatsoever. But there's a lot of, but the mindset and the perspective, is by default, the name recognition, right? Which is why I have to fight 10 times harder, gotta knock even 10 times more doors, is because this is a real fight,
I like to say that every time I ask Miley for help, she's always been there for me. I ask her, hey, I want to do this. I want to do this event, this thing at my venue. I need $1,000. So, client, I cannot do 1,000, but I can do 8. Sure. Oh, client, I can't do 8. I do 5. So she's always there to support me, whatever I wanted to do. But I don't know her politics. I follow her on Facebook. I share all her stuff. I individually think that if Cedric feels that Cedric Gates, because me and Cedric go way, way back, and that guy doesn't, I never said this, but he never call me back.
Oh, okay.
Kind of pisses me off.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But I'm not the only person to say that. I don't feel no type of way. I'm happy for your success.
Yeah.
So Cedric, please call me. or tell me, hey, Kalani, I'm busy. F you. I'll be happy. Oh, thank you. At least he called me back. I'm okay.
Exactly.
At least I admit. But
gosh, don't leave you on read.
Yeah. Because I want to be fair. I don't really want to be just only interviewing people who are like-minded like me.
Of course.
I want to interview people who disagree, because I really want to get into it.
Yeah.
Just this, okay.
Yes.
And just, why do you feel that way? Because I'm honestly feel that everybody, they're running for a cause. They feel strongly what they feel, and they feel they got what it takes.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, and I think what just running for the platform that I'm running for, I have to be neutral, because if elected, I would be representing a community, not a party, not an income level, not an organization. These are people's lives, that I'm going to be representing. So whether they agree with my party, with my politics, at the end of the day, I have to stay neutral. I know very well I'm not going to be able to. It's a hard gig, but that's why it really takes a strong individual. I'm very confident in myself. I know my motives are pure. I have every intention on helping people and improving our quality of life. But I also think that it's important too that you have to have the tough discussions at some point with the community, because we can't always get what we want when we want it. There's a process, right? It takes time. And so I know there's going to be a lot of contention. I know there's going to be a lot of people that love me and a lot of people that hate me.
It's gonna be always gonna be that middle. You cannot make nobody like you, because I look at everybody so like there's no win.
There's no win.
We need that biblical person that people hate. He was the what is that? The dictator. There's a dictator who was a farmer. Are you familiar with that story? Or am I making things up?
No.
He was a farmer. He was a dictator. They called him to be dictator. They called him to be a dictator to fix things. And after he fixed things, he left his seat and he went back to farming.
Oh, you gotta tell me.
That might not been. I like to dabble.
Yeah. However you interpret that for yourself to stay on, a focused path, that's all you.
That was different because they appointed him dictator. That might have been the Mormon Bible. But I read all the books.
Yeah.
Translated.
I don't think we have dictator.
It's not in the Holy Bible.
Yeah.
Hey, off subject, because you go to church.
I do, yes. I've been a born-again Christian for 15 years now. So.
Should church be in schools?
Should what?
Church be back in schools, because it was in school.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, like how I said, just something as simple as a Pledge of Allegiance, those kinds of things. That's very important. And if your child chooses not to participate, they don't have to. I mean,
you just can wait in the corner.
I mean, it's just as simple as that. But I want to highlight the fact that our country was founded on Christian Judea values. So this isn't. We didn't, have the inception of our nation, and then we're just trying to shove religion down our throat. Like our forefathers founded this nation, in God we trust, with Christian Judea values. So a lot of our strength comes from that.
So you say Judeo, are you speaking about the fathers?
Yeah. So I mean,
Abraham.
So as example, when we use the term God, right? Father God.
Yes.
To me personally, when it's the God of Abraham, right? Because
that's Judeo.
There are different. Yeah.
Yes.
There are different. So for me, that would be the God of Abraham.
I like the idea that whenever they need to do something, they were very wealthy. When in the Old Testament, the New Testament, if I'm understanding it correctly, what's he call those? His followers, his posses, his
disciples.
Partners.
Yep, Jesus.
Yeah,
yep.
Jesus.
I like posses better.
He
That's a 90s term.
He had his thugs. He had his members. His clique.
His homies. Yeah.
So there's one part that they speak that when they sold their house and they didn't pay appropriate, the spirit would leave them. You follow that one?
I don't think I've heard that one.
Am I making stuff up again?
You better just read one Bible.
I want to put that scripture on here to show people that I'm not that crazy.
No, for sure. No. Yeah. But the Holy Spirit was, a gift.
It was about tithing. That was about tithing. Well, because they sold their house and they said, "Oh, did you pay?" And the guy said, "No, I'm sorry." And the spirit left him. Then the wife came back, said, "Hey, you gotta join your husband." Because did you pay? And asked the wife, "Did you pay the appropriate?" She said, "No, I'm sorry," and the spirit left him. Never heard that.
I mean, it sounds like an Old Testament kind of a thing. Yeah. But I may have heard it. I may not have heard it, but it's not coming to my memory.
My grandmother always, and my uncles, they always like, "Connie, what are you reading? Are you reading the exact same?" I think so.
Yeah.
My next thing to you, off topic too.
Yeah.
Is the idea that who's that guy's name that betrayed Jesus?
Oh, Judas.
If Judas was so bad, why doesn't he have a book in the Bible? Shouldn't he have a say like, "Hey, this is why I betrayed him," right or wrong? It's so important.
Yeah.
He's half of the story. He's a blessing. Without him, nothing would be possible.
Yeah.
Like I had my last episode, I think was with Matt Taufate.
Yes.
Yeah.
Love Matt.
His story is crazy.
Very much.
And Kehal?
Yep. My sister.
Kehal?
She's so awesome.
Kehal Maniho, she she kind of looked at me funny when I said, if it wasn't for your guys not downfall, when it was for you guys hard trials in life, you guys wouldn't be the great people you are today. So why would you stop people from getting hurt? And then she looked at me kind of funny. I'm not condoning nothing.
I bet.
I'm not condoning nothing. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
It was life.
Yeah.
And God made warriors out of you folks.
Yes.
So why would you stop people from being warriors? I had the problem in my life personally where I didn't want to take nothing from nobody because I didn't want to owe nobody something. And in business, I understand that people want to give you things because they expect things. So I didn't want to be I owe you something or you owe me something. No. So I always said no, thank you. But I now learning to accept people want to give me things because then I stop the blessings. I never thought about it, but I really, really thought about it. Corduroy's over there told me, hey, you better take people when they want to give you things, take it, because that's stop them from being blessing because you're selfish.
That's right. Yeah. I mean, because they could be, just kind of being obedient to God and saying, hey, I want you to bless Kalani and, those kinds of things. But I think, well, let me answer your question with regards to Judas, right?
Yes.
Because books in the Bible, there were documented letters, and so could be for a few reasons. Maybe Judas didn't write anything down, but everything in the Bible is documented, confirmed, and factual based on studies that historians have done, theologians have done, college professors have done. It's not necessarily a religious process, but it's a factual process. So they've dated back, the writings.
I don't think anybody really knows nothing.
Yeah.
So that's why I've never really, take anybody's words or my words serious.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I found the book of Judas.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I found the book of Judas, and the book of Judas speaks. He basically tells his story about how God always put it aside, and him and Mary was his favorites. I know we don't play his favorites.
Yeah,
but Jesus had favorites.
Yeah, I would have to test the confirmation and
really
validity of that.
Yeah, I know people be like, "Well, Clay, what are you talking about?" Corduroys, you showed me.
I mean, there have been many books that have been said that were written and things like that.
It did touch upon that he had a great purpose. You may not understand, you're not going to remember, but you have great purpose.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he played his position, right? But then again, at the end of the day, he had a choice to make. There's one thing that God cannot take away from us is our ability to choose, right?
If he didn't do what he do, we wouldn't be able to go back. Are we in the kind of understanding?
Yep. Or maybe somebody else would have betrayed him.
Yeah. Well, it's all part of the plan.
I think so.
It was divine.
I think so.
It was of the vine.
Yes.
And then the vine is what we drank, which became the wine.
Yeah. No, definitely. But I love to read the gospel because, I mean, I want to hear about, people that actually walked with Jesus, spent time with Jesus, those kinds of things. Because,
what's your favorite story?
Oh my gosh, I have tons.
Give me the one that picture in your head when you said that. Was there a picture in your head when you said people walk with Jesus? Because that's all the New Testament was there's people's perspective on walking with him. Yeah,
well, Jesus spoke most of the time in parables.
Yes.
Right? So let me tell you a story that comes to my mind. And there literally are so many. But this one in particular is the Good Samaritan. And the Good Samaritan was somebody who Jesus was pretty much sharing the story about how there was a man who ran into some thieves and they beat him, they stole everything from him, and they left him for dead on the side of the road. Well, at first comes down the road a Levite. He sees the man beaten, dying. He crosses over to the other side of the road and then goes to his destination, right? And then shortly after that, there's a priest that comes down, sees the man, crosses over to the other side of the road, and then goes to his destination. Then there's the Good Samaritan who comes down, sees him, picks him up, covers his heals his wounds, bandages him up, takes him to an inn, pays the inn, and says, "Take care of this man. And if there is any other payment, I will come back and I will pay for that." And so for me, it shows a few things, right? It shows who are the ones that have passed by. Was I the one who passed by? Am I aware of the sensitivity and the humanity? Maybe not necessarily there's a person dying on the side of the road. I truly believe that we would all stop and help, but we have to kind of look more on a spiritual level too, is that not necessarily everybody is going to show you that they're dying on the inside by what they show on the outside, right? We're so good at kind of like covering up the hurt and the pain. I did that for many years, and it just really kind of it created such a heaviness in me. But, those things right there where this man had absolutely nothing to gain. He spent his own money. He healed this man and he took care of him. And this is where I feel our responsibility is to just be influential in this desperate time of humanity crying out. They're not beaten and naked, stripped on the side of the road, but they don't have a home, they're living in unsafe conditions, they have to work 3-4 jobs just to pay the bills. And who's raising their kids? The streets. So this is my perspective on how I can interpret that into my life and what I'm doing. So just one, but I keep myself very sensitive to the needs of the community. And that's how I believe that I've been able to resonate with the community, is because I'm in the community. I'm talking to the individual. I'm not sending anybody. I'm not saying, I'm not Googling it and, watching news articles. These are things that I physically go on the beach and I talk to these individuals, and I go to homes of kupunas. I hear what they have to say, to families, all those things. So, yeah.
I see that more things change, more things stay the same. How's a Good Samaritan today is the same as yesterday. There's a guy in Nanakuli on a group. You see that? They do that blue 55-gallon drums, and they just put the bags, and every morning they always help the houseless, homeless.
Oh, with
people.
the trash cans? That one?
Yeah.
Yeah. The G's us.
Yeah.
Right? With
Just
the dash.
us.
Oh,
Just
yeah,
us.
just us. Sorry.
Yeah. It's interesting because I buy trash bags. Trash bag is expensive.
Yes.
It's very expensive. So there's a lot of Good Samaritans here.
Love it.
The problem is that we're all not funded.
Mm-hmm.
And the people who are funded makes it hard, because when you got to make financial decisions, people tend to go different because of insecurities, humility. People really got to pay stuffs. Mm-hmm. They take their personal stuffs and to pay stuffs. Over here, we have 5 churches. I have 5 churches here. I have 5. And then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday is Bible studies. So I think with everyone's stories that I'm hearing across, they're all reaching for something higher. They all serve a higher energy cause to make them combat the world's problems. Mm-hmm. When people serve something greater than them, like yourselves, Matt, everybody, it's interesting because it cannot be explained with words. Mm-hmm. It's just something that you can go through just history and just watch the creator create through its creations. Mm-hmm. And that's pretty interesting, because my thing is, if I'm fortunate, because I'm not even supposed to be here. I'm not even supposed to be here. I'm not supposed to be in a print shop. I lost my Nanakuli shop.
Wow.
Right? Lost my Nanakuli shop, but I had 3 churches there. But is this the only reason I actually made it through the COVID, the COVID policies, is because of the prayers, the faith and doing works. I'm watching the little whispers. To me, it makes 0 sense, but it's like it comes in when I least expect it. So I stop trying to understand it. I just do my little works.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. And I think it's important that we believe in something greater than ourselves, because then this is what compels us to put our needs aside to help others, right? So anybody can reinterpret the Good Samaritan to a situation that, they're doing in their lives or they want to do in their lives. And you have to believe in something bigger than yourself to serve in such a selfless way. Because logically, it doesn't make sense. Let the city go do the trash cans. That's their thing. Let the, teachers take that, just let them do, those kinds of things. And so then we never raise new leadership.
Will you be out there giving people scoldings?
Okay,
You.
so tell okay,
You're
so
supposed to do
tell
your
me,
job.
yeah, that question scares me. What is your interpretation of scolding?
Scoldings is just affirming. It's like people are so prone to violence. So to me, you can tell somebody, "Can you please take out the trash?" Hey, asshole! I told you take out the trash. And there's other, and you just keep hitting them till they understand. Oh, so you did understand. There's different degrees.
Yes.
The only thing that works, I see, is the violent way. But people are not scared of violent. They're not scared. And then our protocols here. So you have to tell a story.
Yes.
So I have to tell a story.
Wow.
It's interesting because the story is, without taking too much of your time.
No.
It was a Sunday church. I was very frustrated because I convinced somebody to put $2,000 into an event that I want to. So he had a car dealing business. He detailed cars. He's trying to grow his business.
Nice.
He bought flyers, posters, banners, T-shirts. He brought hats from me. And then I also convinced him to buy $500 worth of sandwiches. That's what I do. I do deals.
Nice.
Small deals, but I do deals.
Nice.
And I try to make it all work. So I convinced him to give away sandwiches to our community with him. And I made a video for him, and I'll post it up, leave it inside my comments. We made a video for him. So he was up posting up his stuff to promote his business. He bought my sandwiches. He bought his stuff, and he bought his workers. And then this homeless, houseless individual was strung out. He was drunk and high. And then I had church in here. It was Sunday.
Wow.
So I'm small. Everybody like tests the small guy, right? And I've had that problem my whole life. So that's something eternally for me.
Yeah.
But it's more fun. It's nothing serious.
Yeah.
It's like, how come in the cartoon the small guy is in charge, and how come the small guy in the real life is in charge? Long story short, he was causing a problem. He was swearing, making a big problem. And the guy spent money to be here. I have church over here. The bank is about to open. I'm like, what's going on? Shit, this is crazy. And they calling me, of all people. They calling me. Okay, well, I got to do something.
Yeah.
So my father, a little bit taller than me.
Okay.
He goes over there and dissect the situation. Say, hey, homie, how you doing? My dad is the most lovable person, respectable person. My dad and all his brothers, they're really, they're the Miley boys. They're good people.
Aww.
Unlike anybody I know. I know people say that. It's cliche, but if they know them, they know.
Nice.
So my dad tried to diffuse it.
Yeah.
I had something happen to me 2 weeks ago, so I was already hot and mad. So my dad, he tried to calm the situation. My dad entertained him for about 15 minutes. Hey, you gotta go. Come on, you gotta go. Well, I'm from here. This is my town. It's my house. No, this is all of our town. My dad trying to play with him for 15 minutes.
Sure.
I'm like, we have an event going on. Let's go.
Yeah.
This guy's about to give away food, his money.
Yeah.
The church is in here. I was like 30 minutes already.
Oh boy.
My dad's like, you gotta go. Long time. Then he tells my dad, he starts swearing at my dad. And I kind of reacted. I kind of picked up that man, and I threw him down by the chair. I was not proud of that moment. I was very shamed because the church saw me, the bank saw me, and the people saw me. And I was like, bro, I told you, you're supposed to leave. My dad said, go. You made a mistake when you swearing at my dad. My dad don't deserve that.
Yeah.
And people trying to pick him because he's all drunk. Like, no, nobody pick him up. You pick yourself up. You go leave. Leave now. Leave. So when that one happened, everybody's looking at me. I was like, oh shit, I feel shady now because all they know now is like, oh, business owner, bad guy. You only care for profits, whatever it is. But people who know me know that's not the truth. But people who don't know me is the one that there's more people who don't know us than people who know us.
Yeah.
So what happened is when I kind of went grab him very firmly and firmly, right? They're all big.
I mean,
firmly.
Yes.
And I just walked them all the way to the side. And I talked to him, bro, why are you gonna make me do that? Why you make me like an ass? But prior to that, the little whispers prepared me for that moment. Like, I'm not that guy. But something happened to me a week before that prepared me for that moment. And even up to this day, the little whispers I'm hearing, and Coda is always reminding me, it's like, oh shoot, it's interesting because you're just walking the path. Just do what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
But you said we have ability to choice.
Absolutely. I mean, and I think the hardest choice is to contain our emotions, especially when we're upset, especially when we feel the need to protect somebody that we love very much. Fear is one of the hardest emotions to control, because when fear comes on you, like survival mode kicks in, right? And then it's just like you just want to react. And so I felt that, I mean, I'm sure you felt at the time that's what you needed to do. And
I was not proud of it. I was ashamed.
Yeah.
I was very ashamed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that moment,
But why
though,
had to take that to do that?
yeah, and I think that moment though allowed you to maybe evaluate, okay, what would I do the next time? Right?
That's the only way though.
Yeah.
I have people still pissing over there in that corner. Pissing in that corner. And my people gotta clean them up.
Yeah.
People leave rubbish in there, and it have to be me.
Yeah.
It's not only me, it's everybody.
Yeah.
So for you to be in a position to make change, it's huge.
It is. And so as examples, to your point, are you going to be out there, right? I would describe it like this: my fighting style, right? Everybody has a fighting style. Yep. My voice is very strong, very confident, very assertive. I believe that we can still, not I believe, but I've seen this in my life where we can advocate in a very strong way, and not be rude, So as example, in this campaign, right? Which I have been told, and to settle you, I'm not going to name names. But I have been told that I'm running one of the cleanest campaigns in this year's election. Yes. There's a lot of people that would like me to, go on the attack with my opponent. And I just don't feel that that's necessary, because my fight really is not with her. My fight is for leadership. And my fight basically comes down to, I feel like I can do a better job. And nothing personal. I hope that she doesn't take offense to that. I don't think that she does. I believe that she feels that she has done a great job. And I know of some great things that she has done. But we're in a different time now. And we're in a season to where we need a strong voice. So as example, how you shared, that no, you just gotta, this is how you have to handle it. And I do believe that there are different solutions for different situations, yes. Right? And so I think it's important to be able to understand in that moment, what is your situation? I don't know maybe I would have done the same thing if that was my dad or that was my mom. I don't know.
Yeah. My dad's the type that there's no reason to be like that, because my dad is the nicest person.
Yeah, no, exactly. And again, you went into protection mode, right? And I can't sit here and say, well, I would have done this. I can't say that because I wasn't in your shoes. Yeah. I'm just as susceptible to reacting out of my emotions as well, So, yeah. I don't know. But I do think that that in this position, I will be able to be a very strong voice. And strong doesn't have to mean shouting. It doesn't have to mean threatening. It doesn't have to mean yelling. But a strong, confident, aggressive voice, being more strategic to build relationships that I need to work with people for the betterment of my community. I really personally feel that is where the fight really is being able to build relationships with people that maybe do not have the same views that you have. And it takes a lot of humility to do something like that. But
yeah, I think the West Side, for the most part, a lot of people who just finally buying houses, they're from the other side. And they come over here because it's most affordable. Do you see that?
Yeah, I mean,
now the military people are coming here because there's a lot of good help.
Yeah.
Oh, you're actually in the housing too, so you kind of see all that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, affordable, but it's definitely cheaper than Honolulu.
people are buying houses. People are actually buying houses to live. They're not buying for property for investment.
Yeah, well, I feel strongly about protecting our home purchases for the residents of our state. And I think that that's going to be something that we accomplish in times to come. However, because we have this $600 million from DHHL, there is every resource we have and we need to house Hawaiians, which is why I'm promoting such a platform, housing Hawaiians first. Every time I go to the door, every time I introduce myself, my priority remains housing Hawaiians first, because this is a time that we have the land. Now we have the money. However, we have a 3-year deadline.
I like it, actually.
So there has to be an urgency. And in that,
who signs that check? Since you gotta give me the name, who's the person?
The check is already issued to DHHL. DHHL holds the funds.
Because at 600 million, if you could just get rid of it, it could do wonders.
Oh no, absolutely. And so as far as who writes the checks, DHHL has the money, so they write the checks.
Are they interested in keeping it?
They can't. If they don't spend it in 3 years, it goes back.
Right.
Yeah. So for me, it's not necessarily about what they're gonna do. It's, can they do it within the 3-year deadline?
Because 10 million is a lot.
Mm-hmm.
600 solve everything.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds, I mean, it is an enormous amount, and this is a monumental bill that was passed. This is the most money that we've received from the state for homesteaders. But it will not relieve the 28,000. I mean, I'd be happy to see if we can provide solutions for at least half.
I'd say if you take 1.3 million, you divide it by 600,
Mm-hmm.
everybody's well off. Even if
Mm-hmm.
you're not Hawaiian. If you're
Mhm.
from here, you live here 10 years because we don't want to discriminate.
Mm-hmm.
You live here longer than 10 years, hey, you Hawaiian too.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're struggling with the rest of us.
Mm-hmm.
You take the 1.3, you give it up like that, and boom. That's a lot. Everybody has money to spend. You could solve everything overnight.
Mm-hmm.
Because the spending is going to happen.
Yeah.
They're going to buy gold chain. They're going to buy mopeds. They're not going to pay the
Uh-huh.
rent, but they can pay the rent now because they have a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
That would solve
Mm-hmm.
everything.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's given.
Mm-hmm.
Do they have to pay back?
No, that money is given to
So
DHHL.
how hard is that to just say, here, just sorry I screwed your great-great-grandfather for not getting land who died on the list.
Yeah.
Here you go. Is that the same department?
Yeah. So again, it's not so much about the funding, it's about the process that it takes. The process.
Oh, boy.
And so that's why it's
Oh,
like that
boy.
3-year deadline is
Yeah.
almost like a sensational, I mean, it's just your typical election year sensational celebration, but there's a fine print. It can be done.
It should be
there are
It
ways.
should just be given and forget it.
I mean, we shouldn't even have a deadline, to be honest. I mean, I'll say that,
Mhm.
but the fact that we do, I mean, I'm glad it's 3 years and not 2 years, but the fact that we do just means we urgently need a strong voice in the Senate now more than ever. And
Mhm.
because District 22 comprises the largest Native Hawaiian homesteaders, the most homesteaders live here in our district. So I would expect people representing our district to represent the homesteaders. We're the majority.
That's where your heart is with all this, besides your everything else. This is the main
Yeah,
goal.
well, I mean, so as example, if we were living in IAEA, I don't expect representation to house Hawaiians first,
No.
right?
Yeah.
But we have to, again, like how I said, look at your community, look at your constituents. Where are the needs? Talk to the people. And this is one of those once in a lifetime opportunities where we have this money, but it's going to take a lot of accountability, a lot of aggressiveness. I probably wouldn't be one of those shouting on an IG live, but I definitely would be having discussions within my colleagues, within people in the Senate, coming together. And if I have a disagreement with them, then I'm going to have that with them, but to elevate that on such a large platform where still I'm going to be left with the same situation, but now I've just made things harder for me in the Senate, that probably isn't going to be the best decision for my community. That would be the best decision for my ego, but not for my community.
Yeah, I just wishfully think that if there's one person, it's that simple to just cut that check and just send people, because it's hard because people like verification, making sure you give it to the right person. Government, they did historically, that's what it was. Oh, we're gonna give you $300, but you gotta be tax stuff. There's enough money.
Yeah.
There's money because they print it, they make it. They don't owe it. They don't have to give it back. To say they can open up a pop up a tent, like how they pop up their Obama phones. Thank you, Obama, for your phones.
Oh, okay.
You can pop on Obama phones, the little blue tent, $300, write your name. Thank you. God bless you. Have a beautiful day, or whatever.
Yeah.
Or God Buddha you.
Yeah.
Or whatever. You know,
Maybe not the God
or like
part,
Hindu,
but
or
yeah.
you're Hindu, or you're
Yeah,
Hindu,
yeah,
whatever
yeah.
it is. We don't discriminate. Here's your
Yes.
$300. You're a good American. See you later.
Yeah.
Everybody on the beach, come collect your $300. Sign this name or your fingerprint. You cannot write. Take your picture. Boom. How much easier is that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
No,
the other
exactly.
part of that is that that money's gone already.
Yeah.
So would it really matter? Because the moment they get the money, it's gone. But at least it stimulates growth in our economy, in our community. There's money to be spent.
Yeah.
There's no construction here other than people with their building houses because they're not from here. They're developing properties to rent or to sell or to rent it to people who live here.
Yeah.
That's a real thing. You're gonna rent it. Our own people are renting houses here.
Yeah.
And then they're building houses faster than people can actually do it. So the solution is, I don't know, maybe I'm a little bit naive, but it's right there.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, I think the passion and the urgency for a solution, I think we're all talking about the same thing.
We are.
I think it's just the process of which that comes to fruition.
That I care not, because
Yes.
I think
And
I trust in you. I trust in everybody to see they want their right.
Yeah.
See what they see fit. And I support that.
Yeah.
So whoever is our president, whoever is our senator, whoever is our leaders, this back them, because we back a higher calling.
Yeah. And that's why it's so important, again, on who we elect in office. You know, what is their message? What is their platform? Is this efforts that you want to see being promoted? And if not, there's also another candidate as well. So maybe not necessarily knowing, okay, well, what is her plan and what is her strat and what is this and what is that? And, you know, I have to, you know, oh, Sam, give me the 20-point PowerPoint, you know, those kinds of things. But at some point, we're going to have to trust that the people that we are electing in office are really going to hold the values. And a lot of that comes down to integrity, character. Do you see them out there doing the work? I mean, for me, I want to see people in the plow with me. I want to see them digging, like shoveling with me out there on the beaches.
You're actually available because your kids are older already now.
Well, I mean,
So
exactly. So this is why, now is the time. It's a perfect time for me to run for office. My kids are older. I'm a little more established in my life. My husband and I have been together for 26 years. And so just everything about who I am personally is fit to run for office, you know.
I think so.
Now. So, yeah.
On that note, I know hopefully we can talk again, probably after the election, see how it, because I know it's going to be a whirlwind.
It is.
gonna be a
And I
lot
mean, it
of
already is.
Crazy.
But again, I believe that our community deserves a leader like myself that's willing to fight, willing to go through the hard discussions, willing to get my door slammed in my face, dogs chasing me, just voices everywhere, you know, but that's how much I believe in our community. And I'm willing to put myself through that personal, and persecution is such a hard word, but that's what I feel that it is, because again, I'm representing a district. So I think that it's important that the community knows that. I think that they see somebody running for office as maybe somebody desiring a position of power, but not for somebody like me that's standing more for our culture, more for our family values, more for our traditions, more for righteousness, and just, you know, so I think that if I were probably that candidate that really only desired to have the position and title and those kinds of things, then maybe, but my fight comes from a different place. But every time I talk to my constituents, that encourages me continually, that I know what I'm fighting for, why I'm fighting, and it's worth it.
Well, I appreciate you again.
Yes, thank you.
Hopefully
Okay,
we
yep.
do this again.
Yes, I appreciate it. Thank you so much. This
Thank
is so
you.
much fun.
All right.
Awesome.
Thank you guys for joining us, and aloha.